Alright, and in this video we're picking up where we left off from last lesson where we factorised some monic quadratics, and in this one we're going to be factorising non-monic quadratics, specifically where the a value is greater than 1, usually an integer but not always. In this example though it is, we have 2x squared minus 5x minus 3. So there are several strategies for doing this, and many people have their own preference, as do I. My preference is to use a thing called factorising by grouping. Now, I'll show you what that is, but in order to set up the groups, I suppose, I need to first multiply the a and c term together. So down here, I'm just going to write AC is equal to 2 times negative 3, which is equal to negative 6. Now the purpose of doing that is it informs me what I need to split this middle term into. Okay, and the way it does that is I need now two numbers that multiply to negative 6 and add to negative 5. So I'm looking at that and I'm thinking that it's going to have to be it's going to have to be 1 and 6 in general. It could be 2 and 3, I suppose, as well. Let's have a play around. So if I've got negative 1 and positive 6, then they would multiply to negative 6, but they don't add to negative 5. But minus 6 and plus 1 do add to negative 5. Now 2 and 3 do go to negative 6 when they multiply, but they don't add to negative 5. They'd have to both be negative for that to happen, but because our multiplication here is a negative number, it doesn't work. So we're going to have to use negative 6 and positive 1 are the two terms, and that's how I'm going to split up this middle guy. So I'm going to first of all rewrite my quadratic, but instead of minus 5x, I'm going to represent it as minus 6x plus 1x minus 3. So minus 6 plus 1 is still negative 5x. I've just re-represented how that looks in this situation. And now I'm going to do the factorising by grouping bit. I'm going to look at the first two terms, and I'm going to factorise them by themselves, and then here I'm going to factorise these by themselves also. So in order to do that, I've got an x term in both of these, so that can factorise out, and also 2 is a common factor. So at the front I'm going to get 2x. Now 2x times x would give me 2x squared, and 2x times negative 3 is going to give me minus 6x. Now, in order for factorising by grouping to work, this second bracket needs to be the same as this bracket here. And the only thing that I can multiply both of these by to make this true is 1. If I do 1 times x, it equals 1x, and 1 times minus 3 is minus 3. So this was a nice easy one. And the final step now, in order to put them in fully factorised form, is to take these two terms that are in front of both common bracket, 2x plus 1, and we put him in his own bracket. And then we've also got this x minus 3, but it's just going to appear here once. And in order to explain why this works, we're going to actually take this situation and work backwards and have a look. So in order to expand binomials brackets like this, I need to either apply FOIL, or rather I'm just going to use the distributive law twice. First, I'm going to take 2x, multiply it by x, and also multiply it by negative 3. And you can see that's what's happening here. The 2x is multiplying this bracket out. Then, once I finish that, I'm going to take my second term, the 1, and multiply it to both of these terms, which is what's happening here. So this is a valid expansion of this, and then when you fully expand this out, you end up getting this. 2x times x is 2x squared, 2x times minus 3 is minus 6x, 1 times x is 1x, and 1 times negative 3 is negative 3. And finally, if we continued working back all the way to the end, if we were expanding, the minus 6x plus the 1x are going to combine into the minus 5x, so we get 2x squared minus 5x minus 3. So really, my recommendation for factorising non-monic quadratics, if it's possible of course, is to reverse the expansion process, and we do that by following the process I just laid out here. I'm going to do one more example, talk a little bit less, but show you it one more time. Right, so in this second example, same process. Let's go through it one more time. First, I'm going to do a times c, which is again the coefficient of x squared and the n term. So 6 times negative 8 is going to be negative 48. And now I'm looking for two terms that are going to multiply to negative 48 and add to negative 2, or in other words, have a difference of 2. And I think we're going to find that the answer is just going to be 6 and 8, because if I do minus 8 plus 6, I'm going to get negative 2. So I'm going to set my quadratic up as 6x squared, and I'm going to say it was minus 8 and plus 6. So I'm going to do the plus 6 first, and then the minus 8x here, and then the minus 8. So now that we've got this situation here, we're going to factorize by grouping. So I'm going to factorize a 6x out of the first term, and I'm left with x plus 1. And then I know I need x plus 1 again. And in order for this to multiply through to be x plus 1, well, I need to put minus 8 in here, because minus 8 times x is minus 8x, and minus 8 times 1 is minus 8, which is going to be the terms outside the brackets, 6x minus 8, and then the term that's in the brackets, x plus 1. But I want to show you one more thing. If you're still here in the video, this is going to be beneficial to you. I'm going to show that if you don't put these in the right order, so if I flip them around, you can still solve this problem. So, and we get the other way around, minus 8x plus 6x. And I'm going to show you that it's going to give a different answer, but it's going to still be a fully factorized version. So, I'm going to still factorize out by grouping. In here, the biggest term this time is not 6, but rather it's 2. So I'm going to pull out 2 and an x, of course, and I'm going to be left with 3x in the brackets, because 2x times 3x is 6x squared, and 2x times minus 4 would give me minus 8x. Now, I need 3x minus 4 to be in this bracket, otherwise it doesn't work. And now I think to myself, well, what times 3x would give me 6x? Well, that's just 2 plus 2. And it will also work with the n term. 2 times negative 4 is negative 8. And we apply the same process. The numbers outside the brackets, the 2x plus 2. And the numbers in the brackets, 3x minus 4. And we get a different final version of the answer, but it's still going to work out perfectly, even if you solve using null factor law, because both factorization techniques are exactly the same. Hope this helped.